Chapter 38 Styling with CSS Cascading Style Sheet CSS. By itself, HTML makes useful website, but it isn't great for making good-looking website. Cascading Style Sheet CSS is the language used to add style to HTML file. CSS describes the color, size, layout, background, font, and other design features for website. It also allows you to style your page differently for different environments like a handheld device, laptop, and desktop, while keeping the HTML content the same. There are different ways to add CSS to a website. You can add CSS directly to an HTML file in the head or as an attribute within each HTML element. You can make a separate CSS file to store the information to make your code easier to read and organize. This is the better way. Making a CSS file. To make a new CSS file, use the same editor that you used to make an HTML file, text editor or notepad. You can name a CSS file anything, but many programmers save website CSS file as style.css. For simplicity, save your CSS file in the same folder as your HTML file. Creating a CSS style. Styles are made by pairing a selector with declaration. Style. A specific change to how HTML content looks. The selector assigns the style to a particular element in HTML file. The selector is the name of the element without the bracket, angle bracket. The declaration of the change is appearance. For example, you can make text purple or put borders around images. Selector, element to be styled. Declaration, what the new style should look like. Add a curly bracket around the declaration. Add an intent for each declaration to keep the code clean, like HTML, CSS doesn't pay attention to white space. If you deleted word space and intent, the code would run the same. For example, you could type this code into a .css file to change all the h1 heading element in a website to appear blue. h1 selector curly brackets around the declaration. Color blue, semicolon after the declaration. Intend to help the programmer keep the code organized. Formatting the style with the declaration intent on a separate line and with a closing curly bracket on the bottom line is only a suggestion to help the programmer read the text more easily. The programmer could write all the code on a single line like this, H1 color blue, and the computer would read it the same, linking your CSS and HTML files. Before the new style from a CSS file can be applied to a website, the file needs to be linked. You can apply the style in a CSS file to an HTML website by adding an element to a head of the HTML. The link element needs three attributes. The REL attribute stands for relationship and tells what the relationship to the file you are linking in the link element. When the value is style sheet, you are telling the browser that you want to reference the file to be used as the CSS style sheet for the website, a template that shows style and layout settings. 2. The type attribute says what type of file it is. For example, a text/CSS file. 3. href attribute identifies the name and location of the CSS file. If the CSS file is in the same location of the HTML file, then you just need to add the file name. This is the format to link style.css to an HTML file using the link element head link rel style sheet type text/css rel attribute href style.css attribute name of the CSS file. Type attribute specifies this as a CSS file. Sometimes programmers store their CSS file in a separate folder, usually called CSS, on their website server. If you do this, add a folder name and a forward slash to the href value like this. CSS/style folder name This link element is all its attribute. Tell the web browser to find the file style.cs and apply the styles from the file to this HTML document. After linking a CSS file to an HTML file, any change made to the CSS will change how the website is displayed when the browser is refreshed. CSS color attributes. There are 3 properties that you can use in a style to change the color of a web page. Color change the color of the text with an element. Background change the background color of the space that elements take up. For example, setting the background color of the body element to gray will turn the entire page gray, but turning the background of a P element pink will only turn the background of the paragraph pink. Border color. Change the color of the border if element has a border. If there is no border, this style will do nothing. There are a few different ways to specify a color using CSS. Color names, HEX, RGB. Color names. Color names is a set of 147 colors that have been given specific name and can be used in CSS. Using named color is convenient because you don't have to memorize or look up color code, but it can be limiting because there are only 147 colors. For example, you can use a named color red as a value for a color property to represent pure red. Format color reference like this: property value, color red, property value, the named color red. Example of the color names: tomato, orange, dozable, medium thick green, gray, slate blue, violet, light gray. For example, you can make an H1 header element text tomato and add using the value tomato is the color properly. H1 color tomato. Hexadecimal. Hexadecimal or HEX is a type of code used to represent over 16 million colors. The code uses 6 characters and combines the number of 0 to 9 and letters A to F. In CSS, every hex color code begins with hex, with sharp. The example, the hex value for the color for red is sharp number FF0000. There are many shades of red which is a different value. For example, sharp 700000 is a much darker shade of red than pure red. RGB. RGB stands for red, green, blue. and is another type of code for representing the same color of hex styles. RGB could use three values, number 0 to 255, to say how much red, green, or blue in the color. The number 0 means there is no color, and the number 255 means there is the highest amount of the color. The first value in the code represents the amount of red, the second value is for green, and the third value represents blue. Red, green, blue. For example, the code below represents for red. Started RGB is around the code is parentheses. Amount of red 255. Amount of green 0. Amount of blue 0. The value shows that highest amount of red is present in the color is 0 amount of green or blue. Here's the body would look like to set the background color to the same shade of light gray using the color name. HX and RGB value, all these styles would reproduce the same result. Body background light gray, color name, body background sharp D3, 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 hex color, background RGB 211, 211, 211 RGB. You don't need to stick with one way of representing color in your website. You can switch between color names, hex colors, and RGB colors all within the same file. Element-specific properties. Some elements like table and list have properties that are used only for their element, unlike general color properties. For example, you can change the blue style of the unordered list using the list style type properly along with one of the specified values showed below. This is square, circle, none. This is the fault. No bullet point is displayed, just the text. If you want to display the unordered list using square instead of the disc, you could insert a CSS code into your style sheet that select the UL element and use the description shown below. This is style type square. Most programmers don't memorize all the properties and values associated with every element available in HTML. You can look up CSS properties and values in the internet. Command keep your style organized so that when the CSS document becomes longer, it's easy to locate different pieces of code. Comments in CSS are ignored by computers. In CSS column, comment started slash star and with star slash. For example, you can add element in a CSS file, labeling heading styles like this. Command